Hey everybody, it's Dave Caro. I'm live at Jenkins World 2017. Here's a quick mashup of the videos we put together talking about shiftleft.blazemeter.com. Hope you enjoy it. Hi there, my name is Dave Caro. I'm on the product team at BlazeMeter, a CA Technologies company. We're going to be at Jenkins World next week, and I thought I'd give you a preview of the talk I'm going to be giving in the booth and some demos. Basically, we're going to be showing off shiftleft.blazemeter.com, which is a free online converter for converting LoadRunner scripts into open source. And the question comes up, why shift left? And the thing is, there's a lot going on in the industry right now where people are shifting left, and that means moving testing earlier in the development cycle. And historically, unit testing has always been done by developers, but functional testing was kind of done a little later by QA people, and performance testing was done pretty much at the end of the process. And people have made progress in shifting functional testing to the left, but they still aren't really shifting performance testing to the left. And a big part of that is because historically performance testing was done by a centralized lab, typically done with LoadRunner or Performance Center. So what we're up to is helping people to convert their existing scripts into open source, share them with developers, and build an ethic where people can begin their testing very early in the development lifecycle, and those tests can then follow the code through. So it seems daunting at first if you've only been using LoadRunner and you haven't used JMeter before, but the great thing about this, you can take a script you've already run and you know how it works, convert it instantly into JMeter, and then see how it was created for you as a learning tool. You can learn a lot more at my talk at Jenkins World, so check me out next week in San Francisco. Look forward to seeing you.
Hi, I'm Rafael from BlazeMeter. Next week is Jenkins World in San Francisco. And we all know that we run our tests using Jenkins, right? We are going to show you how you're going to run your test more efficiently, and not only that, take your existing LoadRunner scripts, convert them to open source, and integrate them into your Jenkins. So see you there. We are going to be at booth 302. Bye.
Welcome everybody. So thanks for joining us for this talk. We are talking about speeding your exit from HPE, convert to open source for free. A little playful title, but literally people do ask us all the time, I'm trying to move from older tools to open source. Is there anything you can do to make it easier? People know that we know a lot about JMeter, so they come and ask us specifically about LoadRunner to JMeter. But what we're going to do tonight is we're going to talk about what we're up to. The first slide here, why shift happens. So show of hands, who has heard the phrase shift left? Okay, we know what it means, right? It means doing your testing earlier in the process, and it means doing your testing probably in the development teams, not in a separate silo, right? Generally, right? So one of the things that seems to be pretty common is a lot of use of open source when it's more in the development cycle, right? And yeah, my clicker's a little slow. So one of the things, open source tend to be developers' preference. There's not a lot of developers that are looking for proprietary stuff and a lot of learning curve, and it's a low friction thing. How many people need to open a purchase rec to download an open source product? No show of hands, right? So you can just grab it and go, right? It's not really a big deal. You can just kind of get it done. So a lot of teams did this already, where they were just going to get JMeter and getting things done, right? So there's also a huge community with a lot of give and take. And the thing that's really interesting, we were in a workshop earlier today, and a person used this term as well, self-serve. So the idea is that we want to equip people to be able to self-serve. And one of the cool things about Jenkins is people have their own build. They basically have projects running in Jenkins. They know when they check in code, things are going to fire off, stuff's just going to happen, right? And we want to automate. So we need to be able to take the assets we have and make it really easy to run them in Jenkins. So let's do this, Rafael. So first thing we're going to do is convert a LoadRunner script to open source, and we're going to use shiftleft.blazemeter.com, which is a free online converter. You just drop a zip file containing your, check your screen. You must have two screens going. You've got, cool. So shiftleft.blazemeter.com, you zip up your LoadRunner scripts, you drop them into that site, which Rafael's going to do here now.
That's a LoadRunner script, and you just drag and drop, and voila. It's now being uploaded.
Yeah, so like friendly animation here shows you what's going on. You're uploading your file, and then here comes the fun part. After we've uploaded our file, it really loves your files. Yum, yum, yum. So, and then it converted. In this case, it actually converted 100%. Sometimes you're going to have functions that it doesn't understand. You might have written a custom function or something. What we'll do in that case is we'll actually tell you the name of the function and we'll comment it out so you know exactly where in the flow of things was the function that we couldn't convert. In this case, we converted it all. And it's coming right into BlazeMeter here. He can download the file. He could just run it if he wants to, but we're going to download it, take a look, run it locally, make sure it does what it's supposed to do. So Raphael just downloaded it, and he's going to I'll hand it over to you. Tell us what you're doing, Raphael.
So this is the converted file, and you can see it's ready to go. We have a YAML file here that allows us to execute that straight from the command line, but also if you're interested in either the JMX itself, in this case it's JMeter, but sometimes it will be converted to Selenium depending on the technology that you use LoadRunner for. You can just do it from here. What I'm going to show you is actually how I debug that, make sure that JMeter actually runs it completely, and then run it.
Yeah, so you always get a folder called, your JMeter or Selenium scripts. In there, you're going to find the JMeter file. In this case, there was some test data, so there's a CSV in there as well. Raphael is going to use you're going to use BCT here, Raphael?
BZT stands for BlazeMeter Torus, so it's our open source initiative for test automation tool. So what I'm going to do is just take that Torus file, shoot it onto the YAML, and then do -GUI in order to get JMeter up and running to debug the script.
Yeah, so he's going to launch, he's basically going to launch Torus and tell it to bring up the JMeter GUI so we can actually visually see. If you're a JMeter person, you'll recognize the JMeter GUI. If you're not a JMeter person, you don't even need to see the JMeter GUI. So the whole idea is that we're building a YAML file a human can read. But we're also building a JMX file that can be run by somebody that does know JMeter. And if you want to enhance it or tweak it, you'd probably bring it up in JMeter to do that. He's got it in JMeter here. And you can see it's set to have a ramp. And he's going to go through here, and you've got a loop. And there's all sorts of stuff like the cache and the cookies and the DNS manager and a CSV file with the data in there. So here we have what was a LoadRunner test that's now become a well-structured JMeter test, which a JMeter person would recognize. And a person that doesn't know JMeter could run anyway, right? This will be a democratizing one, to spread access to the tools, right? And then...
What's the name of the Daenerys? She's like the queen of the releasing of the chains or something like that?
You really lost me. Raphael's always giving me movie references I don't know. Anyway, so we were thinking about doing Wayne's World for this, though, because of the guitar theme, Excellent. Okay, so next step, right? You want to fire it up? He actually did fire it up, so it's running over here. There's think time and delay in here, so it's kind of chunking its way through the script. But it's running, and we've got all green here, so it's actually working. So we know that we've got a functioning script. Typically in a conversion, you might have one thing you got to tweak, or you've got a function you got to replace or something, but this was actually clean. And now he's going to take that GUI off the command line and just run this thing. And he's going to do a dash report. We really want to make it easy to get started, so you can actually run this locally on your machine and still get BlazeMeter reporting for free. So we'll anonymously pump the results of the test, if you want, up to BlazeMeter, and it'll actually put up a pretty UI. We'll see in a minute or two of the test running. But we're running a test right here on Raphael's laptop, and we're going to see Torus come to life here. So first of all, it did launch a browser for us. It's going to take us to the test when the test is executing. The test is initializing. Oh, nice split screen experience. Very good. So I can see over here that his machine I can see the CPU and the memory on his machine. It's spinning up the test. And then as soon as we start getting some test data back, we're going to see it here. And moments later, we're going to see it show up on BlazeMeter. We don't have to run this in the cloud. We're running it actually locally. We're using the cloud reporting if we want to make it pretty charts and be able to share it easily with coworkers or publish it that way. But here we're getting back our data locally in the Torus console. And Torus, we mentioned, is an open source framework for test automation. It stands for Test Automation Running Smoothly. It's free. Just go to gettorus.org. It can run multiple open source tools, JMeter, Gatling, Selenium, Grinder, Sieg, etc. Where our test is kind of chunking away, the data's starting to arrive on the cloud. So we've actually managed to take that LoadRunner script, turn it into a JMeter script, and we're running it. And we did that. We did the CLI there. Now we're going to integrate it with Jenkins, so we can scan schedule.
Integrate.
Woo! All right. It's all about integration. So Hopefully most of you are familiar with Jenkins. Back there, you'll notice that Rafael just built a command line to run this test. So obviously, command line is about the easiest thing you can do in Jenkins. He's going to have a project here that's going to go get the test from GitHub and pull it into his workspace, and then he'll have a command line that'll just kick it off every time the build happens. So he'll make sure he's got the right version of the script. Every time a build happens, he's going to run that script. And this way, you know that somebody could check in the code at 11:45 in the morning, and before they get back from lunch, probably on their way out the door to lunch, they're going to get an email if something's wrong. And if nothing's wrong, they're not going to get an email, right? They're only going to want to notify if something's wrong. So you want to tell us what you're doing here?
That's the GitHub integration. So technically, Jenkins just pulled the project and the tests. And all I need to do in order to integrate the testing part is have an execute shell command, BZT, and as many YAMLs as I want. All of them will run in parallel. If I want to run them in layers, then I can just do BZT, layer 1, BZT, layer 2. Each YAML can represent the execution, depending the environment. Maybe I want a load, maybe I want more functional, and also the pass-fail criteria. So on integration, I want to be zero tolerance for errors, but response time is less critical. But maybe on production/staging, I want to be less tolerance to response time, but maybe more tolerance to errors, like 0.5%. Because sometimes I'll get like a ramp up or something like that.
Yeah. So he's mentioning the YAML files. Remember, that's human readable stuff, and you can Taurus can have multiple YAML files on the command line, and you can break things up into the test workflow plus maybe pass-fail in a different file, or maybe server URLs in another file. So it's very flexible. And now he's got it running here. He's got console output, and we've actually already started the test, and we're already getting back results. And it's succeeding, not failing. That's got a good round trip or a good response time. So looked like it's all working. The demo god spared us tonight. I just want you to know it's awesome on your first demo to have nothing go wrong. So that's it. So just to kind of recap what we were doing. Want to take back to the slide? So we converted that LoadRunner script to open source. Obviously, the licensing gets a little more friendly at that point. You can just run it whenever and wherever you want. We provide tools for running from the command line, running in the cloud. If you want cloud scaling, obviously BlazeMeter is a commercial service is available for that, but we're giving pretty much everything you've seen is all free. None of what you saw is a teaser for something you have to buy. And integrating with Jenkins, obviously, again, free if you're using the open source version, right? So I think that pretty much wraps it up.
Dave, I have an idea for a podcast. It can be like based on Wayne's World. It would be like shift left, party on.
Excellent. All right. Okay, Eric, you want to take it from here?